I'm Tommy Dee from thenixblog.com. It's Friday. Welcome to another edition of TKB TV, the CBA Part 2. Joining me from Bleacher Report is my good friend Moke Hamilton. Moke, how you doing?
How you doing, Tommy? Thanks for having me.
No problem, bro. I'm a fan of your work. I'm a fan of Bleacher Report because it allows people to write, and that's how I started tonight, and I really appreciate the platform and people taking advantage of it like yourself. I've been reading a lot of the CBA stuff. Let's rewind it to '99. It seems to me that when you talk about the leadership from the players' perspective, it's not as strong and it's not the same, at least financially, as it was in '99. What are the ramifications of that? And let's talk about the players as a whole in this situation.
Okay, well, the first thing is there's a bit of a difference between the situation in '99 versus now in terms of the leadership. In '99, you had a lot of high-salaried players, a lot of max guys that were a part of the union's leadership. Patrick Ewing, for example, was the president. Alonzo Mourning was also a big wig in the union. Most of those guys are represented by the same agent, David Falk. I think David Falk had 9 clients who were, a part of the union's leadership at that time. Fast forward to 2011, as I wrote in a previous piece, Chris Paul is the only max player that is a part of the union's leadership. A lot of the other members of the union's leadership board are rank and file guys, guys like Roger Mason, guys like Jared Dudley, for example. So right then and there, you have a major difference in the leadership, and you have a difference in what guys on the board would be willing to agree to in a new collective bargaining agreement.
And as you talked about and wrote about, players have, I guess as early as 2 years ago, been saving money, which against the ownership from a leverage perspective, that doesn't bode well. That they're ready, they're battening down the hatches for this type of situation.
Right. Now, the thing is that's funny is over the past couple of days, I've really been trying to get to the bottom of, well, how long ago did the players know that this was going to happen? What I will say is the union has been on top of this thing for a very long time. Nobody remembers that there was also a labor disagreement in 2005. Since then, the union has done a really good job of talking to the players, finding out what they're doing with their money, finding out where it's going. We all know about Antoine Walker. We know about Kenny Anderson. We know about these players who shortly after their careers are having money problems. The union knew that in '99, a big problem was players not having money and running out of money. So the moment things started to look as though there would be a lockout in 2005, the union has done a great job of going to players and saying, hey, we know you need security guards. We know you need landscapers for your homes. We know that a lot of you guys lease cars. Maybe you should cut down a little bit because we think that the owners are going to lock us out when this new CBA is over.
So that's as far back as 2005, which is amazing. And the ownership, from an ownership perspective, I look at it as almost like real estate. If you bought your team in the '80s, most certainly you're going to be losing money based on salaries and based on profit and revenue and all that stuff. The NBA isn't looking for guys who are, just barely, millionaires or 100 millionaires. They're looking for, I shouldn't say maybe not 100 millionaires, but they're looking for guys who want to use this business as passive income. And yeah, they're probably losing money, but as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said in the article the other day on ESPN, which we posted, these guys are trying to guarantee profit, and that's ridiculous. I mean, this is not taking food off their table. It's just their second business that's depreciating. It's almost like buying a new car that the value goes down on it. You want to try to keep it going and make it the best car that you can make it, or boat, whatever. It really is residual income for a lot of these owners, and that doesn't bode well for them either.
That's true. The funny thing is that you use the word income. What I can say is I think no matter how much money you have, it's hard to invest in something and year after year see that its value is depreciating, or at the end of the year, you're $25 million in the red. No matter what, I don't think anybody wants to see that. A big change in the whole situation is Ted Leonsis, current owner of the Washington Wizards. He also owns the Washington Capitals. There are 3 other NBA owners at the moment that own NHL teams. They saw that by sacrificing a season, which is what happened with the NFL and the NHL in 04-05, they saw that by doing that, they can change the way they do business and they can have a long-term sustainable profit And that's something that's very difficult to turn down.
And I don't want to make it seem like these guys just have rich toys, because I don't feel that way. I mean, I do, but I don't want to just paint everybody, because it is a business, and business is to be there to make money. But there's three choices: you make money, you lose money, and you sell. That's it. Or you just deal with it. You go down with the ship. You go bankrupt. But for me, from an ownership perspective, as you said, if it's not another team, like in a lot of ways you mentioned the Capitals and the Wizards together, an NBA franchise should have some sort of underlying minor league system or minor league team in the area that they should be able to develop and try to make money off of as well. For example, if we had I don't want to say AAA team, but a minor league Knicks team in Harlem, in Queens, in wherever, you could fill the arenas by playing or using players that have been around here and have good reputations in New York, and you can kind of do that all around from a business perspective and a model perspective around the country, and using those type of cities and teams. Why haven't they done that?
Well, there are a couple of reasons why they haven't done that. What I will say, though, is establishing those sort of minor league situations, you're really putting a drop in the bucket. The main thing with the owners is their expenses are going up. Every year, they pay more money for things that the average fan doesn't even think about. NBA players get a per diem every day they're on the road. They don't stay in the Marriott or the Howard Johnson. They stay in the Four Seasons. A lot of them have written in their contracts that they don't have regular hotel rooms. They have hotel suites. So when you look at that, and when you think about the chartered flights, and you think about the fact that someone like Eddie Curry or Jared Jeffries is making, $11, $12 million a year, having these minor league situations set up, it's not really going to help the owner's bottom line at a substantial rate.
Understood. Now, it seems to be a pretty big mess. Lastly, where do you see this going? I mean, is there a sense of urgency now that the NFL is back and now all eyes are going to be on the NBA? Or do you think there's not going to be any sense of urgency until September? Where do you see this? How do you see this playing out?
How I see it playing out, unfortunately, is I think unless the owners change their stance a bit. Both sides have some very good arguments, but at the end of the day, what the NBA essentially is trying to do is they're trying to guarantee profits for their franchises, like you said, but the problem is the way at which they're going about doing that. What they're trying to do is they're trying to restrict the system, and what they're going to do at the end of the day is they're going to negatively impact everyone's ability to earn a living and to earn money. And a hard cap, the flex cap system that's proposed, the problem with that is that there's a ceiling. There is an absolute ceiling where a team cannot pay more than a certain amount of money. The union is never going to agree to something like that.
Absolutely not.
Lately, I've heard the union talking about decertification, which we know with the NFL, it's not an ideal scenario. If that happens, I think it's very likely that we could lose the entire season.
Psh, scary. Moke, great job.
Thank you.
Check him out on Bleacher Report. And remember to get all your information on the Knicks and the little NBA, especially the CBA. Check out the KnicksBlog.com, part of the SNY.TV blog network. I'm Tommy Dee. We'll see you next time.